Thank you for being with me today. We are going to paint a pretty wreath. On my canvas, you can see that I have drawn this out. But if we started with our canvas like this, our background paint would just cover everything that we drew. So instead of using a canvas with drawn lines, today you're going to be using a pattern to lay down and trace, and then we will be adding the little bit of details. So we'll be tracing it with paint, and you'll see that when I do it. Your pattern may be made out of recycled materials like a chip box, or it may be a solid white one from a poster board, but they work all the same. I will label the top. That way, when you lay it down, your bow will be off-centered. And the center will not be cut out. After you trace it, you'll just have like the main outside shape, and then we'll have to add that part later. Okie doke, so let's get started with our background. We're going to be using a white. In fact, let me review the color paints that you will be using. Okay, so we begin with a white. That's kind of a messy white right now, but it is. It's white paint. And a tan. A dark green. This is kind of a green, but I do have a darker green. Pink. Oh, I don't have a pink right here, but I'll get it before we get to that point. A dark brown. And then we'll use a small amount of red and yellow. Let me go grab my pink. Okay, there we go. So you do have a paint palette, but you are also welcome to use a styrofoam plate if it would make it easier for you. Some people prefer the palettes, some people prefer the plates. We are going to start with our tan. Generous amount. Okay, now my white doesn't really have that much left. I will have to get another white. But let me go ahead and get this here. White, tan, and dark brown. Now, my dark brown here has a red base to it. I believe that your dark brown will have more of a green base. So it might end up looking slightly different than mine. But also my camera won't show the colors exactly as you will see them in real life. Okay, so we are now going to cover the entire canvas using these three colors. I'm going to start with my tan, and I'm going to move my brush strokes horizontally. I'm not doing it solid, but you can see I've got a pretty good amount there. Oh, I just grabbed the wrong paint. I accidentally got the dark brown on there right now, but that's okay. I just wiped part of it off. I'm just going to go ahead and use it. Now this time I'm making vertical strokes. Our background here is like a wood door or possibly a shutter. It's a little hard to tell exactly what it is, but it is old wood, rustic wood. Again, I'm not doing this solid, but I am making sure that I have a good amount of paint on here. Okay. Now I'm going to pull in some white. I didn't wash my brush. I am loading my brush pretty heavy because I do want this to move across my canvas quickly. If we spend too much time worrying about every brush stroke, we won't get that spontaneity that we need so that our background looks more realistic as a rustic door. Otherwise, it'll look like a door that was purposely made to look rustic. So this white, I am trying at this point, if I notice I have the actual canvas showing, I am trying to get at least a thin coat of paint on it. Now, if you keep brushing and keep brushing, you'll end up with just one color. We do want variations in the color. So keep that in mind. If you see an area that is too solid, then put a color in there to make it not so solid. Remember, the top is horizontal. Your brush, it's a flat. You can run it this direction, like the fat direction or the thick direction, or you can run it where it'll give you a thinner line. Okay, so now I'm going to take my darkest brown. I'm going to come in and just kind of rough up a few areas. So when I do this and I mix this with these colors, you can kind of see now what I meant by a red-based brown, because it almost is showing up pink. And we can make adjustments for that as we continue our paint. I'm going to divide up my space here. Now, because our background is so wet, you're going to see this line just barely, and it's going to look real smooth. It's not going to look as rustic as you might want. I'm just kind of on the side, kind of patting in some areas to try to make that a little darker and give it a little more texture. Okay, another thing that I'm going to do, get some on here. I'm going to try to tap my brush. This works sometimes, but sometimes the paint is really just too thick for it. I'm not doing it all over. I'm just doing it in a few spots. Again, the spontaneous nature of this type of mark will make it look more rustic. Okay. So I'm just kind of bouncing it around. It's a little hard for you to see that part, I'm afraid. But doing the same thing here. I'm just kind of getting some variation of color. Okay. So I'm going to call that done. We need to let all of this dry. And we will come back and add just a little more color to our background before we start on the wreath.